call him the child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him. Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say. Nobody digging to you.
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
All right, so that was a video of a woman in Minnesota by the name of Shiloh Hendrix, right? After this incident took place, she took to the internet to create a Give, Send, Go. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically just a GoFundMe, right? To raise funds for the wrongdoing that fell upon her. In this situation, she played victim and raised over $600,000. So my question to you guys is, as a parent in this situation with the child who was truly the victim, how would you guys feel about the situation? Your baby was called a racial slur, and the person who harmed them basically got rich. So, oh, that's on me to answer it first. So, in watching this, I don't know if you guys know, I have 3 children, right? I have 2 girls and I have 1 boy, right? My boy is the youngest, and he also has autism, and he also happens to be 5 years old, right? So, I contemplated about this for a while. Of course, in originally hearing the video, as a parent, of course, I would have been outraged. I would have been mad. I would have been upset. My mindset would have been like, whatever happens to her, she has coming, right? But as I sat back and thought about it a bit more and did a little bit more research, I started to realize that what she did was egregious, right? It was disingenuous. It was ugly, all that good stuff. But at the same time, you have people on the internet who are coming for her life, her house, her child, all of that. They want it all. They want it all back in blood for this situation. So I'm kind of at a crossroads, right? In a sense. Whatever happens to her, but not to that extent. She shouldn't be fearful for her life. She shouldn't be physically harmed. Her house shouldn't be burned down. Her children shouldn't be hurt in any type of way over the actions of what the child's mother did. I don't know if it was a her or him, but what the child's mother did, or in any way, shape, or form, right? So you look at this at face value, and you're just like, she said the N-word, and then she goes and creates a GoFundMe, and as I'm looking at this, she raised $638,000 as this recording, right, that we just watched. And you're like, oh, that's crazy, right? She shouldn't get that money at all. She should, that should go to the family who she called the N-word. But you got to understand that now her name's out there. Everything's happening to her. She's not going to be able to get a job, which is her own doing, right? She's not going to be able to provide for her family, which is also her own doing. But she's also being threatened. Her life is being threatened. Does that warrant her getting the money that she's supposed to be getting? I don't agree with that. But then I try to self-reflect, right? Like what we were just talking about, and be like, hey, if this happened to me, I would never put myself in that situation. But if this happened to me and I wasn't able to get a job and I wasn't able to feed my children because of a situation that happened, and I'm fearful for my life, I would have to up and move. How? You know what I'm saying? How are you going to up and move now? And again, you suffer the consequences of what happened, but she shouldn't be fearful for her life. I think saying a bad word like that, even as ugly and disrespectful and crazy as it is, of course we see that racism is still blatant, still running rampant and stuff like that. She still shouldn't be fearful for her life. And I'll just leave it at that and let you guys go to the next. So
Yeah, definitely. I believe more or less like just the amount of people that donated showed you all you need to know about, racism still in America. Like I feel like some of the money most more of the times than not wasn't going because she threatened for her life, so let me give her some money so she can what go buy some more food. It was more or less like a slap in the face to people who are prejudiced and racism, like, hey, yeah, I know that this is what it is, but hey, here's $20 just because you have the balls to say it, or you were caught on the camera, like that's how I feel, but I'm behind the computer, so let me throw you some money because it's like that's really truly how I feel. And it just showed you, you know, how sad America is and how we've never really moved on, and just the hate and the prejudice that still runs deep. You know, I don't know if it's, you know, the roots of the family or whatever it is, but like hate and racism like that, you can't teach that. You know, it's like it's just you either it's in you or it's not. And you know, some people really try to cover it up, and you know, they may really not like you deep down.
Yeah.
But just the amount of money that she raised just shows you all you need to know as far as, you know, how many people are out there that, you know, they know the reason of why she's raising the money. Well, maybe not, maybe because she may have covered up and saying, well, you know, she's being threatened and stuff like that. But just from the comments that I was reading on that video, like the racism prejudice is still, it still runs heavy, and it's just sad. It's just like, you know, we can't choose how we come out, you know. It's just like, and it's just sad because it's like, you know, that word gets thrown around, and you know, and there's nothing really you can do about it. We become to like kind of live with it. Like it doesn't really hurt me, you know, as much, you know, as it may, you know, hurt my child kind of down the road, you know, when she kind of asks, you know, what was the situation about? Like, why would they, you know, this, that, and the fourth? And it's like, how do you tell your kid, like, you know, hey, she's an adult, you know, she still, you know, can't get past, you know, looking between white and black. So it's like, it's just sad that, you know, the amount of money she raised, like I said, it's just teach you everything you need to know about, you know, what we still have to live with these days.
So I'm gonna agree with what both of y'all said. I don't think she deserves any of that money, right? For what she said. I also don't feel like she deserves any hurt from that. But the money that she's raising, like Brandon said, like you know what kind of people it's coming from. Does she
Yeah.
deserve it? Nah. But like it's people in the background like, yo, big ups to you. Yo, I'm so glad it was you and not me. I mean, I was just so glad it was you. I wish it was me. Let me get you this money for being in the position I always wanted to be in. And it's like, yo, like watch it. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, and then reading them comments on the video, I'm like, nah, bro. Like they really feeling like they suppressed right now. They really feeling like they was, you know, slave for 400 years. Like, yo, we can't say what we used to say. We can't do what we used to do. And it's like, yo, now that like, nah, she don't deserve to be threatened and stuff like that. But you got to think like when you young black in America growing up and learning about all this stuff, especially today, you'll ask any young brother, any young sister, they're gonna be like, yo, I ain't my ancestors. The moment you disrespect me, I'm pouncing. You know what I'm saying? And that's not everybody. That's just like, you know, you also gotta be self-aware that everybody not you. Everybody not gonna, you know, think like you think. And it's gonna be a lot more people that think like, yo, she deserves the pain and the suffering and stuff like that. There's gonna be more people thinking like that. There's gonna be more people thinking like, nah, she don't really deserve it, like to be hurt or anything like that. Like it's
Yeah.
just it ain't. I personally, man, like this is a sad situation because it's like a young kid. That's what kids do, bro. That's what
Yeah,
kids do. Kids getting this stuff.
and it's funny you say that because my son, again, is 5 and he has autism. And he has level 2 autism. So just for, I guess, a down and dirty of it, he has the mindset of a 2.5, 3 year old, right? Super smart though, right? He was reading before my daughter was reading, which is crazy. But anyways, if he sees something in your hand, again, as a 2 or 3 year old, he's going to just take it. Or if he sees a toy in a bag, he's going to grab it and he's going to go off with it, not trying to do any harm or anything. My son, we were at the trampoline, one of these trampoline places around here. And there was my son, he's addicted to like tablets and phones and stuff. Little Asian guy sitting on his phone, just sitting on his phone, watching his kids. My son went, took the phone out of his hand, sat in the guy's lap, and was trying to get on his phone. You know what I'm saying? And it's I have to apologize. Like, he has autism. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And the guy wasn't, he was just like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. He's like, he
Yeah.
can have it. I'm like, no, he can't. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, kids are going to be kids. And one other thing
Yeah.
I wanted to say too, I don't know if you guys are kind of following that Carmelo Anthony situation, where he had stabbed a white
I heard
yeah,
about that.
a white guy in the heart. Yeah, and killed him, right? Um and basically the black community raised over $500,000 for him. So the argument is, why is it that that's okay, but what she did isn't okay? And the difference in that is that black people raised $500,000 for Carmelo Anthony for his legal fees and stuff like that, for legal representation, right? Not because we said what he did was right by any stretch of the imagination. He didn't have any legal representation, or he couldn't afford legal representation. This is people who are saying, just like you guys had saw in the comments, I wish it was me. I wish I was in that situation. These are people who are promoting racism, who are, rewarding it. That's what I was going to say. Rewarding racism. You know what I'm saying? And that's a stark difference. Like, again, you guys saw that was it's just 600. Well, shoot, last thing I saw was over 700,000, right? And the numbers just keep going before it was taken down. But over $700,000 worth of racism already. You know what I'm
Already.
saying? And it's one of the things where it's like it's of course it's a sad situation to see. And I ain't trying to overtalk it, but even at the same situation, you have people who say that, you know, white people can't say racial slurs, but any other race can say racial slurs and nothing happens, right? And actually, I want to get you guys thoughts on that. How do you guys feel about that? I know I'm just like throwing a curveball at you guys, but how do you guys feel about white people aren't able to say the N word or racial slurs because they're held to a way higher standard versus us being able to say something, or any other race being able to say racial slurs and not really be condemned for it? What did you guys take on that?
Yeah, I think it's more or less like the context of what you're using it. It's like if you're upset and you're using the hard R, and it's like, all right, it's gonna be taken the wrong way. But it's like if you're like one of the homies and you're just kind of like kicking the word around, and you got your Chinese guy, and he's kind of like with the crew, like I don't necessarily, I'm not really too hurt by words, but it's like I said, it's all in the context of what you're saying. And like if you're a hard R and you're mad at me, then it's like, all right, like you're trying to like, disrespect me or whatever. But if you're just we're kicking it, we're having a good time, and you just kind of like we're just kicking the word around, and then that's a different thing. But I think your white people are probably held to that standard just because of slavery. So anytime the word is used from coming from them, it can kind of be like, all right, like are you trying to be funny, or are you like, you know what I mean? It's like, but if it's since, Asians and any other or, racial group has never had people in slavery, then when it comes from them, it's like, well, there's no context behind it because it's like you're not trying to say anything, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like, it's one of those type of things.
Nope.
No.
Nope. None of that. I don't want to hear it. You ain't melanin. I don't want to hear it. But I've heard it amongst white people saying it to white people. They've called themselves the N word. I thought that was the most interesting thing ever. Like, when did you think you could be that too? Though, they try to water it down and be like, yo, it's just me, like, you ignorant and yada yada yada. Nah, brother, that's a racial slur. That word was for my people to be like, you're really low, like you ain't nothing but this low word, this low feeling. So no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from no. I'm questioning it. If I hear an Asian person saying it, like, yo, what's up? What's up with that?
Yeah.
Like, you get the green light. I get what you're saying, B. I get what you're saying, 110%. I get what you're saying, but me, nope, not going for it. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. I'm cutthroat about that.
And my thing is, what about like I guess, let me rephrase it, the policing of it. So like, we can say, and I say we, right? Because I don't, people be like, oh, I want to say it too, but I don't, in my entire life, I don't think I've ever said a racial slur demeaning any other race at all. It's not in my vocabulary, right? And that's real, right? So I guess my initial question is just the policing of it, because there are, and I know we all know them, but there are a lot of black people who don't care, right? And I'll just say, we're just talking about black people right now, but that don't care about any of that. They'll call white person cracko or whatever racial slurs there are. That's the only one I know. You know what I'm saying? And nothing happens about that, right? Nobody's video recording them or anything like that. But that still stings other races because they understand the connotation behind it, right? Even though we don't see it as the N word, right? We don't hold it in the same regards as the N word, right? Why are we not policing black people just as heavily, right? And that's more or less my question. Um, and I guess I would just answer for myself. I mean, because it doesn't hold the same weight, of course, right? It doesn't hold the same weight as the N word. Um, and I don't know because I asked this question and now I'm kind of like thinking about it as I'm talking, right? But it's just one of them things where it's like if you want there to be change, you have to be that change as well, or you will succumb and be the thing that you despise, right? So if you don't want racism, but you are, and I've had this mindset for a long time, right? And not just about racism, just about a lot of things. But if you have a mindset that you want change and you don't want there to be racism, you can't then go and be racist. You can't then go and be, if you don't want there to be abuse, you can't then go and be an abuser to be like, oh, an eye for an eye. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know if you guys want to elaborate on that anymore, but that's kind of what I had.
I just don't feel like my people can do no wrong, brother. I
That's how
just
you
feel
feel?
I just feel like my people can do no wrong.
Yeah.
But I also I don't I'm not a racial slur kind of person. Like I don't go outside of my race to say cracker or whatever the racial slur is that other people use towards each other and stuff like that. Like I ain't going outside of the N word for my fellow like y'all two. You know what I mean? Like y'all my guys. Simply put, y'all my guys. So like, but like if I'm with a female and she's black, I would never call her that ever. To me, that's disrespectful. I would never call her that ever. It's disrespectful to me. Like I wouldn't call that, but I also wouldn't call somebody white that either. That I don't call it what? Yo, you're wild. And I try not to even, huh?
No, you just kind of lagged out a little bit.
Oh yeah. So like, I try not to even say the N word around white people. I just, I usually just try to keep it in the community, but just like the other side of it is like, I don't want to hear it on the outside either. If I'm doing my best to keep it in the community with my men, with my brothers and stuff like that, with other black men, just keep it in that community. Just that. Just black men can only say this to black men. That's where I'm at with it. Outside of it, I don't want to hear it. Like, I even think it's disrespectful if a female call me that. Don't call me that, because I didn't call you the B word, so don't call me that. That's where I'm at with it. Like, I didn't call you, because you opening a whole lot of doors right now.
Yeah, and then that's. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like the standard I have with that word and how I go about it. I think it's just how you go about it, man.
Yeah, I feel like with our music these days, it becomes more normalized because you see a lot of popular songs that have it in there, and it's like if someone's singing a song and like they love this song and it kind of pops up like in the song, but they know they're not supposed to say it, but they always hit the pause before, and that one day they hit it. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like the word is so normalized these days. It's like like I said, it's always the intent behind it. Like, if it's a hatred type of thing, then that. But like I have like I have a lot of Mexican like friends and stuff like that. I remember one day I was joking around and we were kind of like playing with the racial type of thing, and the only thing I could think of was calling them like a wetback, and that was like the worst thing that I could call him. It was
You're
almost like I
wild.
asked him, yeah, and I asked him, I was like, what is the degree? He was like, that's like me calling you the N word. So it was like I can see what Devontae's saying is like we shouldn't be the only ones that aren't allowed to, but it's like there's some words that do cut deep, just like the N word. But like I said, I feel like the N word is the most powerful, like I said, because it's so normalized in the music and just the amount of years that, we were into slavery and stuff like that. So, you know.
Yeah. No, that's deep because I don't think I mean I could probably count on my hands the amount of time I've heard the Mexican slur from anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's just not said, right?
Mhm.
Um, of course, like I said, with black people to white people, depending on what it is, there are, and I'll just speak from my experience, there are black people who are um racist towards white people. It just doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of the things where it's like, just because I understand does not mean that I agree. Hear me out, right? I do like to see from different perspectives, and I understand where people are coming from. I don't agree with it by any stretch of the imagination, but I understand the outcry of, you guys can say whatever, you guys can treat us however, or say however you want to say, right? But the moment that we do, it's an issue. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it is what it is, right? I was watching a Pierce Morgan interview today. Do you guys know who Pierce Morgan is? I'll send it to you guys maybe.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, but he's a British commentator, whatever. Anyways, basically he was on a panel talking about this. Getting back to what we're talking about, he was on a panel talking about the Shiloh Hendrix situation, and it was him, Myron. Myron was one of the people from Fresh and Fit podcast. Had you guys ever seen that? Fresh and Fit podcast. Okay, so he's pretty much he's black. He's crazy. Anyways, and then there were three other panelists, right? A black guy and two white women. And I'm sorry, I don't know their names off the top of my head, but I'm saying that to say one of the white women on the panel was saying how she didn't really see why this is such a big issue and why everything is so bad. So much so that she doubled down and said that she says the N-word all the time. So much so that she tripled down and she said that she is also racist on live TV. Yeah, it was madness. I gotta send it to you guys, all right? And
Yo,
I might insert a clip into our recording, but it was so, I want to say unhinged, but that's not even the word I want to say. It was just so like being desensitized to the situation at hand, right? Like, let's just get back to the point.
right,
A woman called a child, a black child, the N word. It could have been a white child and she was calling him a B word or cussing him out or something like that. Like, that's the equivalent of it. Like, you are a nasty human being at the end of the day, right? And now you're trying to be like, oh yeah, but white people have been oppressed, and that might be true, right? We're not having that debate. We're talking about this right here,
right,
all right?
right.
What's going on here? So for her to come out of the box like that so comfortably, and for all these people to donate and say what they said so comfortably, regardless of whether they thought they were going to be seen or not, it's just one of the things where it's like, there are people who still think that racism just doesn't exist, right? It's just the past. Let's even talk about sinners, like we were just talking about. That took place in 1930. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That was less than 100 years ago, right? Less than 100 years ago.
Right
And
now,
here we
yeah.
are. You know what I'm saying? Right now. And they were segregated, and they were Ku Klux Klan just running around everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't long ago at all. Like, it, you know, I digress. All right, but anyways.
Yeah. You got people, grandparents that grew up in that era. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
and
For sure.
sometimes that's just taught down, like it's in the roots. Like you see, your grandparents have always been that way. Your parents always been that way. It's like it's human nature to be that way. Like, and I'm not saying that, that gives them a pass, but it's like it just sucks that the roots still carry some type of weight.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that was the biggest thing with the child, that they were saying the child needs to be taken away because they don't want the child growing up in a situation like that. And as bad as it sounds, right? I don't feel like that makes sense, right? I don't feel like, even though, yeah, it is bad, it is terrible, she might be able to see through that as she gets older and realize black people aren't bad. You know, she might have some black friends, or he or she, whoever it is, right? Um, but that could be a very loving home besides her saying the N word, and then y'all taking her from there and putting her somewhere else. That I don't agree with, right? There's a lot of I don't agree with, but yeah, yeah, that's that. Y'all got anything else y'all want to say?
Hell yeah. As long as, I mean, heck yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. Y'all about to say
It's
something.
all, I mean, like, bro, as long as stuff like that, as long as racism and stuff still alive, and I know I'm not one to be like, I don't go as hard with it. Like, if if I know white people don't like me, I'm just like, whatever, like, cool. Like, I know that I'm not about to. It's not about to be World War III over that. No, but I'm always, always, always going to understand and feel why people of my color, my people, feel the way they do when things like take away her kid. Like, even though I don't agree with it, like you said, bro, I definitely understand it. I get that. Like, take her kid away. Like, nah, I get why you saying that. Take her stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I
nah, I get it,
understand.
bro.
I
I
don't agree, but
understand,
I
bro.
understand.
I know you hurting, and that's how you express yourself. I'm never gonna be like, you shouldn't express yourself like that. I ain't never gonna go against my people ever, like ever. Like, I get it. I wouldn't do it. Me personally, like, I ain't got to. I'm too lazy to do stuff like that. But like, nah, I understand it for sure. I get that.
Yeah. Final words, anything, B?
I mean, everyone deserves a second chance. But, you got to be aware of what's going on. And like I said, if that came out naturally when you're upset, then that's probably pretty much how you feel. Like you gonna, the drunk truth or whatever like that, or if when you're mad and you start, oh, you're this, that, and the fourth, like that's really true how you feel. Like, if your soul didn't tell you that, you wouldn't just come out and say that. So, I mean, like I said, the other stuff that's coming back with it, like her backlash, it kind of sucks, but it's like you kind of put yourself in that situation. So it's kind of like there's not really much we can do for you. Like people are gonna act how they act, but it's more or less like a life lesson. Like for everyone out there, it's like if you're caught on camera being racist or being prejudiced, the internet will not take it lightly, and they will do whatever to make you feel the way you probably made somebody feel in that situation. And it's just like it's just one of those things where it's just like there's nothing that we can do for you at this point. It's like you acted the way you acted. Go ahead and let the internet act the way they're going to act, and they're going to go 10 times as hard as what you probably did in the video. Like everyone said, taking her kid away, burn the house down. Like she probably
Yeah,
already is
like,
not getting the money, so it's like
bro, bro.
they're going crazy. So it's
Man, it was
like
like, yo,
we can't
take
save
her
you no more.
out. Man, take her out.
We
Yeah,
can't
and
save you no more.
and I can go off on this for forever. But the last thing I will say is just the context of the video. People are saying that they haven't heard anything from the parents. How do they know that the child is only 5 years old? Like that even matters, right? It's a child, regardless, and all that stuff, right? So, I mean, we weren't there. We do have a video. Shout out to, I think the guy's name is Omar. I think that might be
Nizzy.
his last name. But for doing the video and shining a light, because that's another big thing too. I mean, in anything that you do, is having the having stuff recorded, right? Having things recorded, because people would just be like, "Oh no, it didn't happen like that," but you got hard evidence, right? And that's definitely a topic for a discussion for another topic for sure. That one, but. All right, you guys, this is Unmuted. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you guys have made it this far, please like, subscribe, comment down below, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.